This lesson on transformations has a St. Patrick's Day theme. And this is really fun for the students because they get to use the fill color feature of Google Slides and color in any color they like to show each of these transformations. So they're going to be showing reflection, translation, dilation, and rotation around the origin. So it starts out with a definition of what transformation means. And in mathematics, it means to move a figure around the coordinate plane. Then they're given the definitions of the four transformations they're going to be using in this lesson. So they can come back to slide 3 if they need a review of what each one of these means. They're going to start with reflection. So they're going to reflect this figure across the y-axis. That means it's going to be a mirror image. So what they want to do is click and hold in one of the squares and then just slide over until they have a rectangle shape. And they're going to do that again until they have the whole shape. And it has to be a mirror image. So it's going to look like this. Now the next one, they have a T shape. They're going to reflect this across the y-axis. So that means it's going to be equal distance from the y-axis. And again, they highlight what they want. They can choose any color they like. And there they have a reflection across the y-axis. The next slide, they're going to use the same T shape, but this time they're going to reflect it across the x-axis. So it's going to look a little bit different. And they have a few more to do. This time they're going to reflect across the line x equals 1. So it's going to be equal distance from the line on the opposite side and a mirror image. Then they were going to reflect across the line y equals -1. So it would be down here, a mirror image. And then the final reflection is when part of their figure is across the line. So they're going to look at these 2 points that are on the line as kind of a hinge. So they're going to take this figure and they're going to flip it up, but they're still going to have these 2 points in the same place. So they'll still have a little bit of that figure on the other side of the line. So they just want to look at like a hinge as if they're moving it upward, reflecting it. So then they're given one that they're going to try on their own. Then we move on to translation. Translation is just moving a figure, keeping its orientation the same, but moving it up, down, left, or right. So this one, if you show a translation 6 units to the right, you're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's going to look like this. Then they're going to translate. They have 2 movements on this one. They're going to go 4 units to the left and then 2 units down. And they've got a few more of those to do, translation. Then we move on to rotation. Now they're given the formula for each one of these. So in this one, they're going to rotate around the origin, and they're going to take each one of these points using the formula -yx to change that point. Now, if they're moving at 90 degrees counterclockwise, they should know that it's going to be in quadrant 3 because they're rotating around that origin. So if they take the first point, -1, 2, and they use this formula, now they're going to have -2, -1. Their next point, -3, 2. Now they're going to have -2, -3. And their final point, -1, 4, is now going to be -4, -1. And then they can use these to go ahead and fill in their figure. If your students are a little bit more advanced, you can make this a little bit more difficult for them. You could take each one of these side pieces and you can stretch them longer, shorter, you can move them around. So you might want to have them just a standard size and then have the students figure out where those sides are going to go and they can make them longer, shorter, whatever they need. So they're going to do this on several other slides. So the next one, they're going to take this triangle and move it 90 degrees clockwise. So that means it's also going to be in quadrant 3. And just take the points, and this time they're using the formula y negative x. All of these completed figures are going to be in the teacher key, so you can look and see what they should look like. And now they're going to be having 3 new rotations. They're going to have one in quadrant 1, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So they're going to start rotating 90 degrees clockwise, which would put it in quadrant 1 using the formula y negative x. Then they're going to go counterclockwise 90 degrees. So that figure will be in quadrant 3 using this formula. To rotate 180 degrees would put it over in quadrant 4 using the formula negative x, negative y. So you're going to have a figure in each one of those quadrants. Then we move on to dilation. Dilation means they're going to use a scale factor to make something, a figure, either smaller or larger. It's going to be the same shape, but just a larger or smaller size. So if it has a scale factor of 2, then the coordinates of the point are going to be multiplied by 2. So instead of 1, 1, the new point is going to be 2, 2. And they'll have a new figure. And again, if you want a little bit more of a challenge to your students, then just change these. Move them, change their size, and that way the students would have to figure out the length of the sides. Now they're going to change this triangle by a scale factor of 3. So it's going to be 3 times larger. They're just going to take each of the coordinates of each point and multiply it by 3. And then they'll have a scale factor of 1/2. So anytime they have a scale factor that's a fraction less than 1, it's going to be smaller. So in this case, the coordinates of each one of these points is going to be divided by 2. And then finally, they're going to translate this figure and then reflect it. So they've got 2 transformations. They're going to translate this 5 units to the left and then reflect it over the x-axis. Now the final slide just has the 4 transformations, and they're going to move them into place. So they just click and hold and put them into the correct place in the sentence frames. Just a review of the definition of each of these transformations.